So bi would mean I am both.
Yes.
But what if I choose one day that I'm not one and I'm the other? That would make me transgenerational, right?
That's true. It'd make you generational fluid.
Oh, okay,
There you
okay, I
go.
see. I mean, it really should be the other way around, in my opinion. The chapters are what makes the state organization. The state organization is there to support the chapters themselves.
So for them claiming that they are for, young Republicans in office in the state of Ohio, that's just not true.
There's this organization that's meant to be the organization to keep young people involved in Ohio politics, but what have they actually accomplished lately?
And they're growing and they're doing better in the state when they're not helping any of the chapters. If anything, the local chapter should be thanked and given the credit and the praise because they're the ones growing the state chapter.
If we just had somebody just reach out from, leadership and say, hey, how are you guys doing? You guys need any help? It's so much more beneficial.
Yeah.
You could actually make an impact in Ohio.
So that's a huge difference. So I don't see the plan, and of course I'm not in the decision room, but I don't see the plan where the U.S. is going to get $300 billion without taxpayer funds.
Well. What do we have here? The Wham guys doing a podcast together. All right, we got a lot for you guys today. We are going to give you a little introduction of who we are, our organization, what we plan to do with this show. We got some introductions for you. We got some announcements. Big events are coming up in the Wham zone. We have some interesting issues to talk about today. We have the OIR convention, that's Ohio Young Republicans, coming up. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of history with them, so a lot of interesting things you're going to want to hear. After that, a lot of things are going on internationally with the Iran war, so plenty to talk about amongst the team here. So to give you guys an introduction real quick, we are Wham, Young Conservatives. That stands for Wayne, Holmes, Ashton, Medina. We are an independent youth organization focused on bringing conservative values to the political space in our local area. Our main goals are really to help serve the youth, to get them involved, to get them participating in their parties, to get them to run for office, and to really help support them as they try to make a difference in their communities. We've done a few things so far, and we have a lot more on our plate coming up. So a lot of interesting things. One unique thing about us, we're not just tied to one political faction within the Republican Party. If you hang out amongst us, you'll find real quickly that we've got people from all sorts of backgrounds. James here, very hardcore libertarian type person. Me, I like to think of myself as maybe more libertarian domestically, maybe a little more bomb friendly internationally. I don't even know what to call it. But we got everybody. We got hardcore MAGAs, we got libertarians, and we got some people that may not think neocon's a bad word. So it's a fun time. We have a really good time together as an organization. We debate, but we have fun. We work hard together, and we're always working to do things. So I want to start off with introducing the team here that's going to be presenting this show from here on out. I guess we'll start with Matt here on third chair.
Hello, guys. My name is Matthew. I am the vice chairman of the Wham Young Conservatives. And like Alex said, I am the third chair, so hopefully I'll be a little bit of help to the podcast with James and Alex. So I got started with politics through Turning Point USA at Akron University in Ohio. That's where I met Alex. He was our the treasurer, I think, at the time, but later on he became president. And through there, I learned through him. I became leader. Eventually, became the chairman of that chapter. And now we're with the Wham Young Conservatives, also the Wayne Medina Young Republicans. And just through there, we've met a lot of friends. We've done a lot of good events. We made a lot of politicians and candidates, helped them out. And I'm looking forward to doing a podcast with the friends here.
Now we got James here on second chair. Give us an introduction to James.
So I am James. I am currently in high school. I'm going into my senior year. I serve as the political director for the Wham Young Conservatives, as well as the president for the Club America chapter at my high school. I got involved in politics about 2 years ago, getting involved with a couple local grassroots groups, and then I met Alex and Matt and kind of helped them out with the Wayne Medina Young Republicans as much as I could, and then helped the transition to the Wham Young Conservatives.
So a little introduction about myself as well. I am Alex Mortensen. I am the chairman of Wham Young Conservatives. I got started a little bit before Matthew over at the Turning Point USA chapter at Akron U. You might be able to see on the camera behind Matt. There might peek through. There's the banner that we used to use back in those days. But I really got involved then, and really kind of how the chapter got started was we all graduated from college around the same time. James didn't. He was separate. He was later. And we decided, hey, we need to still get involved in our communities. We need to get involved in our local parties, and we need to keep serving in our area. So we left college and we started what's now Wham, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now, I want to give you a little introduction about what we plan to do with this show. Wham, its main goal is to really help fill in kind of the forgotten areas of politics. Really, like a lot of the youth involvement. There's some organizations that try to do some stuff there, but you know how effective they are, it's kind of hard to say sometimes. We really want to help highlight and encourage the youth organizations that are trying to make a difference in their counties. You know, we cover, our main area is Wayne, Holmes, Ashland, Medina, but we really try to help be a support network for Northeast Ohio as a whole. We want to try to help the youth organizations all around Northeast Ohio be effective at what they're doing. What you can expect from this show is we're going to be talking a lot about local issues, things that are important in Northeast Ohio, in the Wham area. We'll talk about some national issues too. There's still lots of things happening. And important there is Gen Z often has a very different perspective on national issues than some of the older crowds do. So if we can help highlight what Gen Z is thinking, millennials, maybe we'll think about that.
Aren't you a millennial, Alex?
I'm on the contested border. So
okay.
I was born in 1996, which they cannot decide whether that's a millennial or a Gen Z. So I can say I'm transgenerational. I can pick each day.
You're not. You'd be bi-generational because you're two. You're two. So you're bi-generational.
So bi would mean I am both.
Yes.
But what if I choose one day that I'm not one and I'm the other? That would make me transgenerational, right?
That's true. It'd make you generational fluid.
Oh, okay.
There
Okay, I see. Okay.
So you could pick any of them.
Okay. I'm still learning all this modern woke lingo, so I'm glad I've got, the James here to help me with that. So one thing we really want to do is help to highlight what young people are doing in Northeast Ohio. Right now, this episode, you'll see the three of us here. We'll be talking about some issues going on across Ohio and across the country. But in the future, expect interviews. We want to bring in some of the young people that are doing stuff and really help showcase what they are doing, help put a spotlight to the efforts that young people are putting. And we'll be talking about that quite a bit. So that's a major goal of ours. Something be interesting. And you'll have to tell us if you'd like to see this in the comments. Debates. Yeah. Do we want to see some debates about hot topic issues amongst young people? That could be fun.
Yeah.
We might try some other things as well. James, he likes to go around and talk to protesters and stuff.
So I
talk about what you had in
mind. Go out, and I enjoy it as entertainment to watch the Democrats protest and talk to them and ask questions. One, because I think that helps heal the divide, but two, for some reason, I find it interesting. So I think we were planning on making that content and gonna publish those interactions with protesters, especially the ones where they tell you they support socialism, and then upon asking what socialism is, they can't tell you what it is. There's many different interviews I've had with protesters that are just really mind-boggling, but funny that these people
Mhm.
exist, but also sad. So yeah, that'll be if we do continue, or if we do that. I think the name of that is what, Jimmy on the Block.
Yeah, something that I like it. We'll figure it out when we get there. But we're I will say as well, this is a new area for us, so have a little patience with us. We're working out some of the kinks, so expect this to get better. But forgive any issues that happen along the way. Now that aside, we do have some events coming up. Uh, Big thing with Husted coming up in Medina County. James, you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So, John Husted, the current United States Senator in Ohio, who is up for re-election, is hosting a fundraiser in Medina County. And so he has agreed to sit down with the young Republicans to do a Q&A with our members. And so those tickets are $20 as of now. We're going to look at some other options and see if those are free. And if you are interested in that event, that's on July 1st in the evening, and you can email events@whamohio.com. Again, that's June 1st, and email events@whamohio.com, and we can get you more information and get your name on that list.
And I got to emphasize just how good a deal $20 is. It's $75 for a regular ticket, but if you go through us, if you're a young Republican yourself, we can get you in there. And not just that, you can sit down with Senator Husted, which is a really cool experience, and we encourage you to take us up on that.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to sit down with candidate for treasurer Jay Edwards at the Medina County Lincoln Day dinner. He agreed to sit down with us beforehand, do a Q&A, and it was very insightful. Great to just pick his brain, and he most importantly picked our brain. And so I think we're going to see similar things with Senator Husted.
Yeah. So, Matt, we have some other events coming up as well.
Yes. I would like to quickly add for the Houston event. This is one of the most important races in Ohio, if not the country.
Yes.
He's facing a very tough opponent. So if you would like to learn more about him or have any questions, I'd definitely take up the offer. It's only $20. That's pretty good to meet a future senator, hopefully. But yeah, for the other event, we have a Healthy Americans Coalition event with Turning Point USA coming up. Turning Point Action, and we've done a lot of work with them with Brandon Rossi, great guy. This will be with Senator L. Landis, so we're looking forward to that. We'll be talking about what's going on in Columbus. How can we make Americans more healthy? We did recently see the obesity rate go down, so that's a great effort by RFK and the Maha effort. So yeah, it's going to be a great conversation with L. Landis. That'll be July 14th at the Wayne County headquarters in Worcester, Ohio. If you have any questions or are interested in attending, reach out at events@whamohio.com, or feel free to also reach out through our social media, which we have Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Yep. And if you're ever looking into what events we have coming up, we need to get it fixed. Some things happen, and so we have to get the website fixed. But once we do, you can go to whamohio.com, and we'll have a whole events calendar, not only for ourselves, but for events that are going on in general in conservative politics around Northeast Ohio.
And that will be fixed by the time this comes out, so you won't have to worry about waiting.
Yep. So real quick, in addition, I want to plug something as well. We do have merchandise. We've got these fantastic Wham hats. We have Young Conservative hats. We got these polos. We got t-shirts. We got all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking for some Wham swag, check out the whamohio.com. Go to the store page, and you can get all sorts of stuff. And we'll be adding a whole lot of new stuff here soon. Additionally, we're always looking for help with things. We're looking for assistance with event planning, especially when we start getting into September, early October, where there's going to be a lot of candidates that are going to need help, and we're going to want to organize stuff with them. So if you have interest in event planning, in fundraising, and just kind of helping coordinate some of our efforts, we would appreciate all the help we can get. So we're always looking for people interested in doing something. If you have a skill in a certain area, talk to us, and we'll try to find something that fits for you.
All right.
So, big topic.
Yeah. The Ohio Young Republicans Convention.
Yes. So maybe before we get into it, I want to give a little bit of a backstory of how we got started in our relationship with Ohio Young Republicans, OYRs, the short name for it. So as we kind of mentioned before, Matt and I really got started back with Akron Turning Point. We ran that for a couple years. We graduated around the same time with a couple other friends. And we really had a day where we just kind of sat down together as a group and said, okay, now that we're done with college and what we were doing there, what's next for us? We ended up reaching out to Doug Deacon, who's the chairman of the Wayne County Republican Party, because we just all happen to be from Wayne County at the same time. And we ended up meeting up with him. He told us that the Wayne County Young Republicans chapter was effectively on life support at that time. And if we wanted to just take it over, we could do that. I mean, we were really looking to try to do something that would really help us try to fill in the missing gaps that, maybe the party had, or maybe some of the grassroots had, and help try to be that glue that kind of helps really work to mesh, some of the missing areas in politics. That was something big for us. And, something that was working directly with the party. That was a great opportunity. So we ended up taking that after, I want to say it was about a year or so. We had kept an eye on what was going on with the Medina Young Republicans chapter. They had tried to get one started for a couple of years, and it was kind of on for a little bit and off for a little bit and then back on, then back off. And it was never really able to get off the ground. Through kind of our time with Turning Point and with YRs, we had a few friends up there that, wanted to do something, but maybe they didn't have enough capabilities to run an org on their own. We ended up offering, hey, what if we just expanded up to Medina County? And so we sat down with them. We sat down with a couple members of the party, and we ended up expanding into the Wayne Medina Young Republicans, which is still an organization we are running to this day. About maybe 8 or 9 months after that, we wanted to start growing into a bigger organization that can host larger events, starting to manage fundraisers and do some bigger initiatives that take, both money, time, resources, and really start to leave that phase of being like a smaller, simple organization and really start to grow into like a moderate sized nonprofit. That was really our goal. And so our thought was, hey, there's two counties next to us that have both tried to start a YR chapter, and it just, each time they did it, it just never worked. They couldn't get enough people behind it. So our thought again was, well, if we do this as a team effort, we can do something that gets the support in those counties. It was Holmes and Ashland County. Both of those had several attempts to try to start something that did not end up panning out, at least at that time. And we said, hey, what if we try this? We met with party chairs from both counties. We met with some individuals, some kids from both counties, and people were interested, because there's only so much you can do as a smaller organization. At the end of the day, you're limited by the core team that you have. If we can get a couple people from those counties, yeah, we've got to, focus on a larger area, but we have a larger core team to do bigger things together. And it works more efficiently that way. So we were looking to expand, and we had our plans to expand. Before I get into where that went wrong, because it did, a little bit more context about Ohio Young Republicans as a whole. They are part of a national organization, the Young Republicans National Federation. I think
I believe that is the clarification.
I think that's their name. I would not exactly call them an effective national organization. At least that's my opinion. There was a group of people last summer who were looking to run to kind of take the place of the incumbents that were looking to run again for leadership and really start fresh with new ideas. A lot of these people, they were tied towards more of the liberty movement, a lot of turning point type people in those backgrounds, people pretty similar to us in terms of, where we sit on issues and things like that. And we were excited about that. We wanted to see people with new ideas start to replace some of these aging incumbents that quite a few of them were probably already reaching the age limits for young Republicans, because you have to be under 40 to be a member. They ended up having a national vote. A lot of very bizarre things happened. There was delegates kicked out of the room. A lot of really fishy things, threats being made. If you don't vote towards the incumbents, you're going to have to pay for your hotel rooms. Allegedly. A lot of stuff was thrown all over the place, and it was hard to tell what was going on. And what had happened in Ohio was the current leadership of Ohio Young Republicans decided behind the backs of the county chapters, our delegates from Ohio, all of them must vote for the incumbents. And that was decided without any input from the chapters, because we were really hoping at least a couple of the delegates would vote for the other slate, because we wanted to see something new. So we ended up calling out the Ohio Young Republicans chairman, Cody Pettit, for going behind our backs, for not listening to us, or to a number of other chapters that also supported this other organization, Restore as they called themselves. And from that point, we were kind of on Ohio Young Republicans' bad side. They didn't like us after, we kind of called out their BS. So we end up, writing a whole letter. Maybe I think it was like ended up being 2 or 3, really calling out the scumminess that was going on within the state organization and what we wanted to see fixed. Another thing that happened with that whole Restore YR slate, which was the slate we had backed to try to take over national, someone had blackmailed someone to leak their group chats, and they leaked it all to Politico, and it was, this whole scandal. There was like 4 people that said something really stupid, and the rest of the article was just a bunch of BS. Like, there was part of the article that said, hey, they said the word 156 times. And I just remember that, and I'm like, that's that itself.
You are canceled now, Alex.
I'm canceled? Are we off YouTube now?
You're going to get a political article next.
We might actually be on YouTube.
Are we off YouTube now? I might have to bleep that.
I have to be on Rumble here soon.
I might have to learn how to
Rumble.
If we start a Rumble, you'll get to hear me say without a bleep on it. How about that? So a lot of that went around. The current OYR administration used that as a way to oust anybody that was pro-Restore, and they turned it into this whole, like, look at this evil organization. I can't believe anyone would associate with these people that just wanted to see an organization that actually supports its chapters. So this was all happening kind of around the time we were looking to expand to Wham Young Republicans. We get a call, or we get an email during the middle of October last year. Lot of very big local elections going on around that time.
That was October of 2025, correct?
Yes, 25. A lot of very big elections we're trying to support. Honestly, of all the Young Republicans chapters in Ohio, we had probably the most events we were doing to try to get volunteers to help candidates in key races. We had 1 to 2 events per week to try to help support candidates.
Yeah, and those events weren't just like a rally or a event where that candidate or politician could come and speak. That was us getting people out to door knock, and talk to voters to make sure that they could win an election, and we saw the result of that.
Yeah, it was actual political involvement. We get an email in the middle of October. Actually, it would have been September because it was before the election. So September, because
election was November 5th.
Oh,
of 2025.
I'm stupid. Okay,
so it was mid-October.
Ignore me. I'm a little stupid. So it was mid-October. We get an email. If you don't stop this effort of expanding or calling yourself Wham Young Republicans, we will shut down your chapter. And that came from Cody Pettit himself.
Mhm.
And so in the middle of our most busy month, the most effective chapter in their organization, they're threatening to shut us down during our busiest season. So we had to sidetrack ourselves. We had to write up a whole rationale. We had to write up an appeal to the board during October when we're all over the place trying to help candidates. And it was insane. It was ridiculous.
And at this time, we're still growing, so we don't have the members to split, and half of the team works on candidates and their races, and half of the team works on dealing with young Republicans. They knew at the time we were still growing and getting our foundation set, so we had to then turn our attention towards Ohio Young Republicans so we weren't dechartered.
Yeah. Yeah. And they knew it was a way to get back at us for calling them out before. We had actual grievances with them. They saw this as a way to legitimately get back at us. So that was really something that sent shockwaves to a lot of the county chapters across the state. And a lot of people have since told me, like, I can't believe they tried to shut you guys down. Like, from other chapter leaders that have told me, like, I can't believe they tried to shut you down. That's insane. We can't let that happen. So I ended up getting called in a couple months later to a board meeting. They fully reject everything that we're trying to do. We can only stay as Wayne Medina YRs. A lot of very squirrely things happened. Some of the things they accused us of were pretty insane. One of the things was, since we were trying to expand, we must be spending 90% of our time and effort in Holmes and Ashland counties. And it's like, no, we've like met with a couple people there, but we have not like been diverting resources away from Wayne and Medina. Because they actually told us, hey, we're worried because we think you're probably not spending any time in Wayne and Medina counties. I was like, that's not true. That was an actual accusation.
Wow. Was that in the email or was that in the
this
meeting
was
itself?
later when I got called in to basically present our case for expansion to the OYR board. And they were just ridiculous things as well. We had one event. We had a member whose family owned a restaurant up towards Cleveland, which is another county outside of Wayne and Medina. So we ended up doing something there. I didn't think much about it because it was during, right up to election season. There was a lot of frustrations apparently because how dare we go and start taking over areas that don't belong to us. And, we must be recruiting people from an area that's not ours. And we're just trying to take over Cuyahoga County. It's like, no, we had an event there.
May I just add real quickly, this event was probably one of the biggest events in Ohio YRs, maybe even their history. We had 30, 40 members. We had 3 sitting politicians speak, plus some in attendance. The restaurant itself was just, that's probably the most money they've made in a while that night. It's just us being there. So why Ohio YRs is so angry about this, I will never understand.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's petty that they just were so hateful towards us because we called them out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's quite sad.
So it was, long story short, we get rejected for expansion. And at that point, we're like, listen, we'll still stay within Ohio Young Republicans, but if we're going to actually make a difference in Northeast Ohio, we have to go independent.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, we can't work with this. What are we supposed to do?
We were being set back every step of the way that we wanted to make an achievement. And it wasn't even well, let's work together on that. It was no, you can't do that because you tried to hold us accountable.
Yeah, there was never any calls of like, hey, what are you guys trying to do? Some people may think this way about this idea.
Yeah.
There was never anything. It was always the assumption we are trying to override other organizations, and it was just getting shut down. So we split. That's why Wham is under Young Conservatives. That's why there's the YC on the logo, because we just couldn't keep doing it that way. So with that whole context of how we really got to where we are, before getting into what's going on with the convention, because there's going to be the big yearly convention for Ohio Young Republicans.
Is that September?
Or
is it
August? So it's in mid-August, but every 2 years, and that'll be this year, they vote for new leadership. So there's two teams that are looking to run, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Before we do, I really kind of want to run through OYRs as a whole. What have they actually accomplished? Because there's a few things that they like to list that they really bring to the table in terms of Ohio Republican politics. One of their big bragging points is that they have the most members of any YR state organization. They just hit 1,000 members, which I don't know about you guys. I don't buy that.
So I think it calls into question how members are accounted for.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you show up to one meeting of a YR chapter, you are considered a member.
Right. And I've read
Okay.
through the bylaws. There's nothing about
So that means it could be
qualifications.
500 Democrats show up to a meeting for opposition research, or there's a candidate speaking that they want to hear to see what the other side needs to do. Are there then
So it does
that
say
many
that,
members?
Yeah, so it does say that they do need to be Republicans, but who's checking that? Like, who's checking someone's voting record whenever they sign up on, the a small chapter? They're not
And
checking,
it doesn't
your voting
instruct
record.
the county leaders to do that. It just
Yeah.
says that somebody should be checking.
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
nothing listing the cleaning up of voting of the membership records. So I guarantee you, no chapter is removing members who haven't shown up in over a year from their list. Like, because there's nothing about that. No chapter is doing that. I mean, we'll try to clean it up. Like, if we see somebody that they have not been in forever, we'll try to tidy that up.
Yeah.
But it's also like, but I know that person and they like what we do. They just haven't been able to make it in a while. So it gets tricky. And, and especially when your vote is tied to how many members you have. The more members you have, the more votes you get. No chapter has the incentive to clean up their member list.
Correct. If anything, they have a incentive to falsify members to get more votes at the convention.
Right. And they do require a large amount of information about the members, phone number, email, address, which is always fun to get if you don't have that on your sign up form. You have to go looking up voting records and stuff like that to try to find up where somebody lives so that they can count on your list. And it's always a good old bit of work. So, but I don't buy 1,000 members. I don't see that. Not that many people show up to events that they host.
Did any of us? I know I didn't. Did you guys go to the 1,000 member?
I did
party?
not. And I heard it was maybe like, and this is just what I heard. I don't actually know. I wasn't there. There was maybe like 40 people there.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not as well, but I know a few that did. So maybe we can reach out to them and see
Yeah,
what they
I'd
thought,
like-
get
I'd
their
like to know.
opinions.
Yeah,
but
I'd like to
safe,
know.
Call it 50
Yeah, 50, maybe even 60. I
when
don't know.
you have 1,000 members as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they like to brag about their endorsements. They do have a PAC that they can use to help support young candidates they're trying to run for things. I've seen several cases where some young person was running for office who requested help from OIRs, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll get you a bunch of people there. We'll knock doors for you." And one person shows up.
Mm-hmm.
There's been whole cases like that. I've heard that firsthand from candidates who have run. I've heard stories from other chapter leaders who have said, "Hey, we planned this big event. We did all the work for it. We got all the people there. We did all the setup. OYRs rolled in and then took credit for the whole thing because they're the state organization. They should be the ones, really showing that, what they're accomplishing." And they're taking credit for a lot of these chapters' accomplishments. And it's really, it's been showing just how much they see themselves as the organization, and the chapters they see them as subservient. I mean, it really should be the other way around, in my opinion. The chapters are what makes the state organization. The state organization is there to support the chapters themselves. Maybe I'm crazy. Am I crazy on that one?
No, I think that's the way it should be. The local government holds the state government accountable. The local party holds the state party accountable. The local YR chapter, party, whatever, holds the state party accountable. That's the way it should be, because it helps root out corruption and bad people in office, because it's a lot easier to get rid of your local person than your state person. And that's just
Exactly.
the way it is.
Yeah. And then one last thing that they, oh, yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Matt.
I just want to quickly add to that Ohio PAC, the Ohio YR PAC itself. Regarding the endorsements, we had a member, not going to mention any names, but he was running for school board and he actually applied for an endorsement. And through that process, they asked his policies and a few other things, but they denied it because he didn't have enough policy. But that same day, you can go to his website. There's a whole list of different policies. So for them claiming that they are for, young Republicans in office in the state of Ohio, that's just not true.
Yeah.
It's
Well, the problem is he was associated with us. So, you can't
Yeah.
you can't have that.
This
That's
was
right,
an
yeah, my
area
bad.
where there were 3 Democrats running.
Yeah.
yes.
The school board at that time was probably 4 Democrats to 1 Republican, and you had to elect 3. So you could have made it 3-2 and made some actual change, even if this candidate wasn't the perfect candidate that Ohio Young Republicans wanted in office. It'd be better than having a Democrat, is
Yeah.
what I would think if I was on that board.
Yeah. So it's silly. One last thing that they've been bringing up a lot lately is they've started a whole bunch of new county chapters. They're getting chapters all across the state started. They're up to I think it's 45 or something like that, or
Yeah.
at least 45 counties that are covered. That includes multi-county chapters like us. We cover 2. There's a couple that cover some more. But I've seen cases where even near here, like in Northeast Ohio, there have been chapters that have started, but as soon as they got their official status, OIR just disappears. They're not there to consult them. They're not there to assist them. They just vanish and then show up whenever they want a vote for something. And it's just these chapters, they start them and then they abandon them, and it's not sustainable like that. So it's, I'm coming from this place where it's like, there's this organization that's meant to be the organization to keep young people involved in Ohio politics. But what have they actually accomplished lately? They've got all these things they brag about, but what is that actually doing?
Yeah, you could have 40 members, 45 members, whatever that is, 40 plus, we'll say, and not help any of those chapters, 40 plus chapters. Does that mean you're a good organization because people on their own time are starting organizations? Or if you're not helping anybody, how do you measure growth?
Right.
That's what I don't understand. How can they say they're doing something and they're growing and they're doing better in the state when they're not helping any of the chapters? If anything, the local chapter should be thanked and given the credit and the praise because they're the ones growing the state chapter.
Absolutely.
Right. A quantity on a list does not reflect quality.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It doesn't measure quality.
I just want to ask you, since our beginning, which was about 2 years ago, I'd say about now.
Yeah, about like that.
How many times has Ohio Wires showed up to one of our meetings? Do you think?
I know Cody showed up to the very first one we
one.
organized.
I think that's about it.
Maybe one other time.
Right.
Really nothing since since the whole debacle with
Right.
them, and we
And I
called
wanna
them
t-
out on
there's
some
a-
of these things.
There's another chapter that's kind of friends with us, a little bit associated with us. And I know recently their leadership has been showing up to their events because they wanted to get their votes for this upcoming slate,
Right.
and that's about the only time they've showed up to their events. So yeah, just to add on that they're not really supporting us. That's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy.
They look for the chapters to give them credibility, but then, they won't do anything to actually support that. So, shifting over to the topic of the upcoming election, giving all that context of where Ohio YRs really is, and what what they've really been kind of failing on. 2 teams are looking to try to take charge and lead it for the next 2 years. So real quick, I just kind of want to run through the names, the platforms, and then we can talk about that a little bit. So there's 2 slates. There's Wire Excellence. That's really kind of the people from the current leadership being shuffled around a little bit. Some people moving to different positions. That's being led up by Jacob Sargent as chairman. Greg, I know Greg, and I apologize to him. His last name, I will try this. Marjavicius, maybe. Apologies, Greg. I'm sorry. As co-chair. As national committeeman, Cody Pettit. National committee woman, Tori Scholl. She was the chairman before Cody Pettit.
Okay.
So it's both previous chairs are looking to be the national committee man and national committee woman. Mike Ringel as treasurer, John Gomez as political director, Rachel Schaefer as Northeast coordinator, Central coordinator as Charlotte White, and Southeast as Jordan Leatherwood. So I did go to their website and take a look at what their platform was. Their stated goals are to grow from 45 to 66 counties. So how many counties have YR organization representation? Which, okay, that's a legitimate goal. I would call that I would list that as a goal. Recruit, train, and elect YRs to office.
They didn't provide any numbers of how many they're currently at, how many they want to see, did they?
I don't know what that means. Like, that's not a policy or anything. That's just a kind of a platitude. So I don't know what to take from that. Deep in relationship with ORP. I don't know what to take from that. That's just kind of a blank statement. Get more YRs in campaigns, which from what I understand, that basically means work with some of these state campaigns, work with chapters, and try to get young people into those campaign positions, which that's good.
Yeah.
That is something a national or a state organization can do. And I think that's a good role for the state org. I think that probably falls under basic behavior of what the state org should be doing. So I don't know if that's necessarily something new, unique or new, unless they're looking to like emphasize that a lot more and have some plans for that. And they are looking to get more YRs into staffer roles. So kind of like before, but once people are elected, try to help get young Republicans into those offices. I can pick out a couple goals from that. I don't really hear any plans necessarily, so I don't know how much of a.
Especially, one of the things is,
what's the plan?
There's no numbers. Okay, they want to recruit and train and elect YRs. How many YRs are currently in office? I don't know. Okay, they don't give that number, and then they don't even tell you how many they want to see, or they don't say we want to grow that by 30%, 50%, 10%. They don't even give you anything there. Get more YRs in campaigns. How successful are they at currently? What do they want to grow to? Especially with this being the successor slate, they should have that information on hand to say, we're doing this good right now, or we're doing bad on this, and we need to do better. And this is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do. But tell me how, and how I'm going to be able to know if you've achieved that goal, so I should give you 2 more years or not.
Right, because it's I think they're good goals, but how do you plan to do that? What is the actual plan? If you want to get chapters to vote for you, how are you going to do that for them?
They also want to.
Oh, yes.
Did you already mention this? Increase
did not.
Fundraising to invest in chapters, training, and members. So they want more fundraising. But again, they don't say.
It's a blanket statement.
Are they giving every chapter a $10 check? Are they giving selective chapters money based off of grants? Well, then, because we've called out the current leadership, does that then affect if we get money for another chapter that is gone with what they thought was the right direction? There's no way to measure if they've achieved these goals or not.
Yeah, and what does that look like? What does that program look like?
It's a blank promise like every single other politician proposes.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of their campaigning so far, the main thing I've been seeing from them, and I get blasted with their emails. I never added myself to the list, but I get blasted with their emails Basically, and they're all about, hey, this person endorsed us, or this big name endorsed us, this big name endorsed us, this big name endorsed us, and that's all they're sharing with the chapters is, hey, these people endorsed us. They're not sharing the how of what they're looking to do. Like, give us the meat. Like, stop pretending we're just, a bunch of chapters that are here to serve you, and make the case for yourself.
Are these emails coming from YR Excellent emails or Ohio YR emails?
They're coming from Wire Excellence.
Okay.
I do know there
Wanna make
is
sure.
someone had mentioned to me that it is in the bylaws of Ohio Republicans that they cannot share any contact lists with outside organizations, which would include, some slate organization cannot receive the contact list from Ohio Young Republicans. So I don't know behind the scenes on that. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they're doing that or not. If they are, it's not necessarily a good thing. So that's why our excellence. The other team is really kind of like the outsider team that's looking to get some new people into Ohio Young Republicans. So to run through them real quick, there is Jake Jaggles. He is running as chairman. I think he's from Southwest Ohio. I'm trying to remember if he's from the Dayton area or Cincinnati. One of the two of those. Caesar Shazenbaugh as co-chair. Evan Nash as committeeman. Jonah Garcia as committeewoman. Kevin Comerford as treasurer. Hannah Miller as secretary. They do not have a political director picked. Northeast Ohio director AJ Roll. He is from Richland, which, if you can consider that Northeast Ohio, that's a little weird, but okay. Central PJ Riley, we know him. He's a great guy from Turning Point Action. Southwest Benjamin Mugen, I think.
Benjamin Gwynn.
Gwen, is it Gwen? Okay.
Yeah, he is Lakota school board member, I believe. He had a pretty uphill battle to win his election. And from what I've seen from his social media, he is exposing a lot of fraud, revealing different things of money going separate ways, and delivering on his campaign promises. So I'm not a constituent of the Lakota School Board District, but from what I've seen, I would say he's doing a good job.
Okay. And if I recall, I'm trying to think back in my memory, he was involved also with trying to get teenage Republicans up and running again, or high school Republicans up and running again?
That could be. I don't remember.
That rings a bell to me. I don't know that necessarily went anywhere. And then finally, Southeast coordinator Tice Pat. He's with the Jay Edwards campaign.
Correct.
So that's the names. As for the platform, this is the closest thing I could find to a platform of theirs. It was a single 2-sentence thing on their Facebook page. It says, Team Ohio YRs is a coalition of young Republicans across the state committed to stronger chapters, better organization, and real grassroots engagement. We're running to bring energy, accountability, and growth to Ohio YR leadership. They have no platform whatsoever. Like none. I had to go digging through all their posts, which is just announcing, who's running what and their backgrounds, but they have posted nothing about a platform. They're looking to try to run to buck the existing team, but they haven't said anything about what they're actually trying to do. I have had a call with Jake Jaggles, who's looking to run that up in terms of, the selection and things like that. I suggested a whole bunch of stuff, and he's like, oh, wow, I never thought of those things before. That's really cool. And it's like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? And in terms of meeting up with people, I'll actually this evening, which we're recording on Saturday the 20th, I will be meeting with
the other slate.
Yeah, the other slate, yes. Jacob Sargent this evening to kind of talk about this as well, and where things are going to be going over the next 2 years. So, which I look forward to discussing with him and hearing what he has to say.
Because regardless of what we think of the slates, we have to work with both of them because one of them's going to win.
Right.
And we don't want to just burn every single bridge in the book. So
yeah,
Even if I personally disagree with both slates, finding the better slate and then improving them
Yeah.
to get them to where we want.
So a little bit of backstory with Team Ohio as well. Back when we were having our public spats with Ohio Young Republicans, I was invited to join Team Ohio as potentially their Northeast Ohio coordinator. Their whole they list a bunch of names here. The main person who's really organizing them and planning them, his name is Ethan Reynolds. He's mayor of Xenia, so he's a younger guy from over there. He's kind of like the man behind the curtain of that whole initiative. Back when the whole Politico leak about Restore happened, I was pissed off about the fact that people were dumb on a group chat and they let that happen. But in his words, I said something in their little Team Ohio group chat that, in his words, could potentially be misconstrued as being pro Restore after the Politico leak. And so I had to be let go from the team. I was kicked out from all that. I was removed from all documents. I was removed from the group chat. And I was gone. So the way I see that, that's exactly like what Cody was doing to us.
Yeah.
Ethan Reynolds was the one behind that. From that experience, I see Ethan Reynolds as basically the same person as Cody Pettit, but just on a different team.
Yeah.
So I guess having gone through both those slates, how are we feeling about both of them kind of as a whole? Are we happy, or what are you guys feeling about this?
Personally, so I like the picks from the Team Ohio slate for the Central chapter, the Southwest chapter, and the Southeast. Sorry, not chapter, but region coordinators. I think those are all three good guys.
Yeah, so specifically PJ Riley,
Ben
Gwen,
and
Tice Pat.
I don't know anything about any of the other people on that slate. They don't have a political director, which is a little I don't know if concerning is the right word, but it definitely raises some questions. And then Northeast, I don't know if I want someone from Richland as someone in Medina representing the Northeast.
Right. But in terms of Northeast, we know Rachel Schaefer, who's on the Wire Excellence. She's great. We have great relationships with her. And I would rather support her than someone from Richland who has never interacted with anything, east of Ashland before.
But then with the Wire Excellence slate, you have Cody being the national committeeman, who is, I would say, actively work to halt the progress of the Wayne Medina Young Republicans. So should we send someone to the national team that is, one, really close with the current national team, but also that is actively going to try to hurt us and hurt other chapters?
Right.
On the other side, we also have Evan Nash, which is the committeeman for Team Ohio, and I know Alex has some experience with him as well.
Yeah, he was actually going to be he was on Restore's slate, which was the national slate to try to run for national. He was going to be their Midwest coordinator and run the Midwest region.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily like how quickly he turned on Restore right after the Politico leak, and how everybody played this up as the worst thing in Republican politics when it was just a stupid article that went away after like 3 or 4 days. But I would rather have someone like him than watch Cody continue to fail his way upwards through politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't in good faith say I support one slate or the other in the current moment. I think the only thing that I would get behind is something like a split ticket, like where we vote on chair, co-chair, committeeman, committeewoman, all the different things individually, because I think there are a few good picks from the Wire Excellence and a few good picks from the Team Ohio slate.
Right.
Absolutely. I just like to throw out there for Rachel for Team Excellence. I believe it's called, right?
Yes.
She was the only member of the current slate that stood up for us when we wanted
That's true.
to get our WAM approval. Um, there was another guy that reached out, kind of said, "Oh, we'll let you have this area." He went both.
That was Ethan Reynolds, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say the name, but we'll let Alex throw it out there. But
that was Ethan himself.
yeah,
So it's just both of these teams have been so involved with just the political game playing that it just feels so messy. I wouldn't mind a split ticket vote. I think there's enough people on both of those slates that kind of fill in the areas that I'm really not happy about, that I think we can get away with something that I think Wham would be happy with. So I'm hoping I'm actually gonna. So when I meet with Jacob Sargent tonight, I will bring that up. I want to know about that. I have not seen anything in the bylaws that say you cannot have some kind of split ticket thing. I don't even see anything in the bylaws about tickets altogether. So
Interesting.
I'm
So in previous conventions, do they do it where you vote one slate or the other?
I only know the one from 2 years ago because that's when I started getting involved with YRs. Take this with a grain of salt because it's been so long and that event was such an absolute snooze fest that I do not remember. I think they were voted for all together because there was nobody running against anybody. Which, from what I
Okay.
understand, there haven't been any contested races in years in this organization.
Oh, okay. So they vote how they want. Nobody challenges it because nobody runs against.
Right, which has
That
been the
makes
case,
sense.
which this is the first contested race in quite a while. I'm really hoping we can do split slate. I don't think this slate culture is necessarily good for YRs. I think people who are interested in running for certain positions should run for certain positions. I mean, okay, if you build up some alliances, okay, that's fine. I think that's fine. But I mean, take for example, one of the people on here, or maybe I won't say his name, but he told me this. Both slates approached him and said, "Hey, we would like you for this position."
Mm-hmm.
And one of the team, and he said, "Yeah, I would love to serve in this position." And he told both of them that. One of the teams posts it before the other, and the other team's like, "Oh my gosh, you're a traitor. You went with them. How could you go with them?" And so then they went and picked someone else completely different for that position, just despite the fact that this guy went and joined one of the team.
And in that case, it should be that if both slates, or let's say there were 5 slates and 5 slates all agreed that this one person was good, then they should all have that person on their slate. Or
Right.
you just don't have a slate and you make every race individual. And maybe in some races you have 3 people run, some races you have 2 people run, some races you have 1 person run.
Yeah, I don't get this idea of you need to have your own team, and if somebody and if another team likes your person, you can't associate with them. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's not healthy for an organization. So,
Yeah, another thing I'd like to see kind of from both slates is high school involvement.
yes.
Because I know we have a list of needs that we'll bring up with the co-chairs and the chairs and the slates and different members. There is no high school involvement. If anything, the current sentiment from young Republicans is almost discouraging to high schoolers. Since I'm not 18, I can't officially be a part of a Young Republicans chapter and I can't have a say in it. Well, that's a big reason why I believe a lot of the younger people turn towards the left, because there's nothing to give them help when it comes to finding a group of conservative friends and getting deeper into those ideals. So they see the Democrats have stuff that are open to 15, 16-year-olds and up, and they're like, oh, well, I'll just go there because I like politics and they're going to actually give me an opportunity to do something.
Right. And there's nothing in the Republican Party for high schoolers.
No.
there have been multiple attempts recently to try to bring back high school or teenage Republicans, the organization. I hate to break it to you guys, it's not coming back.
No.
It's not going to be there. So who's going to pick up the slack for high schoolers?
The closest thing is Turning Point USA and their Club America chapters. But if you attend a public or private high school, you could have a Club America chapter there. If you go to college, Turning Point chapter there. But a lot of the people that join the Turning Point chapters aren't necessarily want to be a Republican. They like the ideas that Charlie Kirk stood for, limited government, but then the GOP doesn't do anything to get them involved with their races and their candidates, and so then they become politically homeless or they go independent, and we lose a big chunk of the vote.
Yeah.
So it could work if it was Turning Point and then they funneled you kind of into a YR chapter or the state party or the county party, but that isn't happening.
But the problem is with that, Turning Point USA is a 501c3. They're not allowed to funnel people into the party, into YRs. They can't get involved in partisan politics. There's no partisan organization for high schoolers. Honestly, and I want to go into a few other things that YRs, that I think an effective YR organization should be doing. One of the big things is they need to pick up the slack for high schoolers. They need to encourage high school involvement and getting high schoolers involved in the communities and in races and everything like that. That's half the reason we went independent, was we had several high schoolers that wanted to participate and they couldn't under YRs. So going independent, we can bring them in. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, for the Club America chapters, they have to be associated with the school, correct?
Correct.
And I know from Dinah's experience, they had a very difficult time starting one of those chapters.
Yes.
So why Ohio YRs would now look at that and say, hey, why don't we, allow these high schoolers in, even if we just lower it to like 16 years old so they can drive,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we do that? I don't understand. It's sad.
Right.
They're left behind and they got nothing else to do.
If one of these slates did put that in their platform, I think that would be serious consideration from the Wham team and the Wayne Medina team to go, this slate might be legit and we need to look at endorsing them or moving forward to help them. But right now, I don't see anything that's going to change. I just see a bad coin, and on the one face is the current team, and that's YR Excellence, and on the other face, it's Team Ohio. But it's the same coin.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think encouraging high school involvement would be a major plus that would really encourage us to get behind somebody. We'll see if anyone does that, because that would also mean really bucking the national organization and what they're pushing, because they're not encouraging that. They're looking for the 18 to 40 crowd. And there's always this hope that, teenage Republicans is going to come back and it's going to be there to pick it up, but it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. So I want to run through a couple other things that I think would help encourage getting Wham support, and honestly, things that if you mention these, a lot of other chapters would like to hear as well.
Yeah,
because I think something that can happen with, especially with OYRs, is some of these chapters get so discouraged by the ineptitude of the organization that they set low expectations for it. And I want to list some of these things, and I want you guys, if you're running another chapter or you're with another chapter, I want you to feel like, hey, it's okay to expect better things from your state organization, from your representatives. So one thing I would like to see is a major boost to regional operations. I currently, as it stands, each of the 5 regions of Ohio, Northeast, Northwest, Central, Southeast, Southwest, they each have a vice chair. I want to see those vice chairs regularly contacting each chapter in their area, once a month, maybe something along those lines, and say, hey, what events do you have coming up? What issues are you facing? What are your needs? And then they pass those up to the state organization in a regular amount of time to talk about what's going on there. I want to see those vice chairs build up a team for their region. So not just one person representing a region. I want to see them build up a regional team that can plan regional events. They can help coordinate training. They can boost collaboration and really increase the communication between chapters in each area. I would like to see that. I'd like to see that boost of collaboration.
Yeah, another thing I think we'd like to see is transparency
Yes.
from the state organization. Right now, if you go to the Ohio Young Republicans website, there's very little information on there. There's very little of anything on there.
Unless it's about them.
Yes. It'd be nice to know the 45 chapters that are in Ohio and what are the emails of that. So, what if I want to get in contact with a chapter in my area? Well, how do I find out? You really don't know unless it's word of mouth. Along with that, just as we mentioned earlier, highlighting people that are doing good things in the conservative and Republican movement, especially these young chapter leaders. Make it more about the county chapters than the state chapter.
If we had these operations, you know how easy it would be for the regional coordinator to just find a member that's done something really good recently, or just know the chapter events, pass that on to the Ohio YRs,
Yeah, and they
and
just make
post
one
it on.
post.
Yeah, exactly. It would be so much simpler than have to go scroll through social media, retweet this, retweet that, see what everybody's up to, see how everybody's doing. And if we just had somebody just reach out from the leadership and say, "Hey, how are you guys doing? You guys need any help?" It'd be so much more beneficial.
Yeah.
We could actually make an impact in Ohio.
Yeah. They need to focus on the chapters, not themselves.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Another thing with that is, I know, Alex, you had fun finding the bylaws. I don't want to go into the details of that to bore you guys, but it's a little crazy that the rules in which a organization operates are not on that website, and you have to dig through stuff to find that. In which case, they could just restrict.
You have to get it
rules.
from somebody who has it. That's the only way to get it.
Which,
and if those
doesn't
people
make
don't
any
like
sense.
you, they don't send it to you, which I have learned.
there you go.
So public transparency, that's definitely a big thing that I would like to see them improve on. Another thing is I want to see them working more to help support the chapters that they do have.
Mhm.
Something I think would be fantastic is to hold maybe 3 trainings a year. And they can be on all sorts of topics. Maybe it's on how to manage a social media, how to fundraise, just the basic things you need to know to run a chapter, because there's a lot of people who are getting into starting these chapters. This is their first experience in politics. They're trying the best they can, but they're just guessing most of the time.
Mhm.
I mean, back when we were running things with Turning Point, we were figuring this stuff out as we went. I mean, even now we're still figuring out a lot of this stuff as we go. This whole podcasting thing, we're figuring this out as we go.
Right.
So,
yeah, and to regards to that, the chapter was kind of just left during COVID, so we really had to pick it up. Yeah, so we really didn't know what we were doing, but luckily we had people like Turning Point USA and the Leadership Institute that would hold these events. It would teach people how to table, how to recruit, how to just be organized, and we learned a lot from that, I believe, Alex and I. And now look at us. Now we're here hosting 2 little organizations with Wham and the Wayne Medina. We have a podcast going. We're recruiting. We've held some great events. So I think, yeah, just to your point there, if they would hold a couple trainings, I really think that would boost the membership. Maybe would actually hit the real 1,000 members.
right.
And
1,000 active
maybe
members.
yeah, sorry, active maybe. We would be able to actually endorse real candidates, get them elected, and I think we'd see more a productive Ohio YRs.
I agree. Another thing that'd be great is to start to develop a database of resources that chapters can reach out to and start to dig
Yeah.
from, because it's in terms of our organization, our resources are only those that we've built up for ourselves. Whether it's website tools, whether it's social media tools or, trying to get into something like this with podcasting, fundraising, all that stuff. We're having to find our own tools and use those ourselves. If they could start to reach out to different chapters, be like, hey, do you have any members who are good with these types of skills? Maybe it's graphic design, making a flyer, things like that, or editing a video. And they start to build a list of people who might be willing to help with other chapters with certain things. How much could we get done as an organization if you help boost that collaboration between what different chapters have available to them that they could share with others?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know what others have unless we, directly go to that chapter and ask them.
Yeah.
And there's different softwares like for fundraising or for event management that you can get them for an organization and kind of lend out sub tools for franchises that are they're built for that kind of stuff. That there's certain things that possibly Ohio Young Republicans could get that say, hey, if you want to manage your communications, we have, let's say, for example, it's like a constant contact or something. We can control it from the top level, but you can use like franchise portions for your chapter to manage your communications and make it easier for you guys. There's things like that they could be doing that would really boost effectiveness, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say overall, it's pretty disappointing where Ohio Young Republicans is at. The fact that it just is ineffective and it doesn't help the chapters grow, and it takes all the credit for anything that does happen. I think that's sad and it's disappointing. And right now, I look at two choices that aren't much better. Maybe stuff will come out in the upcoming months, and as we sit down more with these slates to discuss about what changes need to be done, maybe things will get better, but it's going to be an uphill fight. And so if you would like to help with that uphill fight and you hear the concerns we're talking about and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's not right, reach out to us on social media, send us an email, get in contact with us, even if you're not within Wayne, Holmes, Ashland, and Medina. If you're nearby, reach out. We'd love to get you involved, whether with the group in your area or best suit you in our group. And we'd love to use your skills and help you achieve the mission of a good Young Republicans, or
Yep.
maybe not even good. Maybe I'm striving too high. Maybe a mediocre Young Republicans slate or leadership. I right now I think we'd settle for mediocre.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta settle for something you
It's
don't
baby
want.
steps. It's baby steps. But anyways, what do you guys think about Ohio Young Republicans? Do you think they're being effective? Do you see room for improvement? We listed a few things. If that's something you guys would like us to write up in a more formal way and post it online, let us know in the comments and we can work on some of that stuff. So that's kind of our discussion on Ohio Young Republicans. I want to change topics because something big is happening internationally.
The Iranian war. So this will probably change within the however long this segment is. The Strait of Hormuz is maybe open, maybe it's not. Maybe it'll change in 2 minutes and then change back. So just to provide some brief overview, I'm sure many of the listeners and you guys know about the current war in Iran, but back in June 22nd of last year, we struck Iranian nuclear facilities. The big one was Fordow. That was Operation Midnight Hammer. And then on February 28th, we struck Iran again in coordination with Israel. And this was like the true start of the war for this year. It feels like we're in a war about every 10 years, or a proxy war. So then some of the big takeaways from this February 28th strike were that Israel and Hezbollah have started fighting again. Hezbollah is the governing body of Lebanon. And the other big takeaway was that the Strait of Hormuz was closed, which gets about don't quote me on this, but I believe it's 70% of the world's oil travels through that strait.
It's a lot. I know
Yes.
that. It's a big number.
And then early April, a ceasefire was kind of signed. A ceasefire was agreed to, and then Israel started bombing Lebanon again and targeting Hezbollah, which kind of broke up that. And then the U.S. came in and did a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So then fighting cooled down a bit, and there were some talks about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, of a deal. And it looked like we were close. No, maybe it was about a month ago. It looked like we were close, and then Israel and Hezbollah started fighting again. And then June 14th, the Pakistani Prime Minister, who has been leading negotiations, announced that a U.S.-Iran memorandum of understanding to formally end the conflict has been signed.
I do find it weird that Pakistan's the one negotiating because they've been fairly open with how pro-Iran they are. It's just the whole region is just weird. Everybody keeps fighting. All the fighting just keeps starting back up. It's almost as if everybody over there just likes fighting. Just likes fighting. We've learned from this.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and break down some of these points in the memorandum of understanding, kind of get your guys' opinion on it, have a little bit of back and forth discussion, and then we'll get into some of the statements that Vice President Vance, said this past week.
So before you go to the points, basically the memorandum of understanding, it's not a deal yet.
Correct.
It's basically, from what I understand, it's the deal that they would like, and it's what they're negotiating around. It's what they're trying to go for.
So in the first point of the MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, the United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran and their allies in the current war, by signing this MOU, declare the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and undertake from now on not to initiate any war or military operation against each other. That point was specifically about Lebanon. I don't think this is that outlandish of a point. I don't know. It seems simple that we're not going to fight while we're trying to figure out a deal. The biggest thing is where it says, and their allies. Does that mean Israel? Because Israel is not bound by this treaty because they didn't sign it. But at the same time, the U.S. signed saying that their ally in this war, which is Israel, would not encroach upon Lebanon.
Right.
Even if it's out of defense, they would not attack Lebanon. That is what it states. Point 2, it's about respecting others' sovereignty and territorial integrity. Point 3 is that they are going to commit to achieving a peace deal in the maximum of 60 days. Point 4, the U.S. will begin to remove its naval blockade. It'll fully end within 30 days. And then the United States will undertake to remove its forces from the proximity of the Islamic Republic of Iran within 30 days after the final deal. So I'll be interested to see if that last point about the 30 days after the final deal gets included in the final deal, because this isn't the final deal.
Right.
It's confusing. I get it. If you're confused, I am too. So, yeah. So, point 5, upon the signing of this MOU, basically there's going to be safe passage with no charge for 60 days. So this was the big thing with the tolls that Iran was imposing. Iran said that there would be toll-free with the signing of this deal. It also says that Iran will conduct dialogue with Oman to talk about the future of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf states, to talk about the sovereign rights of coastal states when it comes to the strait. Up until now, there's not really anything that's concerning. It's pretty standard stuff. This is where I think a lot of heads turn when we get to point 6, which states the United States of America undertakes with regional partners to develop a definitive mutually agreed plan with at least $300 billion for the reconstruction of economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The mechanism for the implementation of the plan will be finalized as part of a final deal within 60 days.
And what I have understood from that, that's not taxpayer money. That's private money being invested into it. That's being requested. At least that's what I've heard.
So that is what the Trump administration is making it sound like, that it's going to be from countries within the region, along with possibly unfreezing funds to put this out there. Now, I don't know what countries in the Middle East are going to invest this amount of money. If we look back at the JCPOA, which was the Obama deal, which Trump has raved about how bad it was, I believe he gave Iran about $5 billion. I think it's 5.3. So that's a huge difference. So I don't see the plan, and of course I'm not in the decision room, but I don't see the plan where the U.S. is going to get $300 billion without using taxpayer funds. And that's the concern for me, that, if the JCPOA was truly as bad as it was, is this just JCPOA 2.0? That goes into point number 7, that says that it terminates all sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, including the United Nations Security Council relations, the IAEA. And so basically all sanctions, primary, secondary, sanctions from the IAEA are gone.
Mm-hmm. Which frees up a lot of their money.
Correct.
To do whatever they want with.
Correct. Which,
from their track record, is usually more weapons and armaments and warfare.
Republicans of Trump criticized Obama for sanction relief. And then in 2017, when Trump took office, he put sanctions back on. When Biden took over in 2021, they heavily criticized sanction relief. So how is this different than what Obama and Biden did? Now,
yes, let's run through the other points as well.
So number 7, Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not produce or develop nuclear weapons. They've agreed to resolve the disposition of stockpiled enriched material pursuant to a mechanism that will be mutually agreed upon in accordance with the schedule mentioned in the paragraph 7, which is that paragraph.
Which they have agreed to before, then just completely ignored.
Correct. And then it also says that this will be under supervision of the IAEA, which is almost identical to the JCPOA. And then point 8, they will maintain the current status quo, they being Iran, of its nuclear program. The United States will not impose any new sanctions or deploy additional forces in the region. So the way I read this is Iran cannot build a nuclear weapon or develop, but they are allowed to continue enriching uranium, obtaining uranium where they are at in the current status quo, which to some people would contradict, especially if you take the Trump administration's narrative.
Yeah, and the thing with nukes is the enrichment is the hard part. Building the actual bomb itself, that's the easy part.
Correct.
Once you have the material, all you got to do is build the mechanism around it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need hyper enriched uranium for power plants, as far as I understand. I might be wrong on that, but why enrich stuff if you're not planning to build bombs with them?
Yeah. We'll come back to those points. So point 9, terminations of sanctions. A lot of repeat stuff. Point 10, the United States undertakes to make fully available for the frozen or restricted funds and assets of the Republic of Iran upon implementation of this MOU. So frozen funds are going to be released. Point 11 is basically just a repeat that this MOU will be followed until the final deal. Point 12, after signing the MOU and subject to the beginning of implementation of paragraphs 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this MOU and the continuing implementation of these measures, the United States and Iran will start negotiations and this final deal will be endorsed by a binding United Nations Security Council resolution.
So, my take on this whole thing, it's really I read it basically as a stalemate. Nothing's really happened either
Mhm.
way. Things are where they are. That being said, a lot of Iranian leadership have been taken out. A lot of manufacturing facilities have been taken out. A lot of weapons have been uh, burned to on the Iranian side. So their stockpiles are reduced. Their manufacturing plants are, I see this as maybe something that really maybe only pushes the problem back a couple of years. I was listening to a Glenn Beck talk about this. I think he normally has some very even keeled responses to some of these things. One thing he brought up was you take a look at the situation here in the US around this war. Very, very unpopular.
Mhm.
We learned that the main deciding factor for American citizens of whether or not to support this was the price of gas. Support only extended as long as gas was cheap. The other thing that he mentioned that we really learned from this is the IRGC has a strong hold on Iran. I know there was the hope that from the administration that once a lot of the IRGC leadership gets taken out, a lot of the people will rise up and start to take their country back. That never happened. There was maybe some attempts, and that was quashed, and the people have not tried again since then.
Mhm.
So we have learned the IRGC has full control of Iran, and they will control it short of anything except of a full boots on the ground invasion. They have full ownership, and they will control everything unless you do that, which the American people do not support. I don't support that.
Yeah.
So the thing that Glenn mentioned was, is there a real world? I mean, a lot of people are complaining about this deal, but could you have gotten a better deal than this? Probably not.
That's a fair question. That really is. Um, Especially with the way gas was going
Yeah.
and the support. That's a very good point. I just don't see how you rebound politically from criticizing Obama and Biden. It's going to happen. He's going to, they'll rebound. It'll
Yeah.
be fine. But in my mind, how do you criticize Obama and Biden for the JCPOA and for sanction relief and then go and do the same thing, if not give more money to Iran? Even if it's not taxpayer funds, the administration has said that they are going to use this, and they have used this to build weapons, to build missiles, to build nuclear bombs. So instead of 5 billion, we're giving them 300 billion. That's what I don't get. And okay, great, it's not going to be my tax dollars, but it's money either way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at the disagreement with this deal is, or again, the memorandum of understanding. Because one thing I want to clarify is, even though I'm somewhat critical of this, I haven't seen the final text of the deal. And so until I can see that, I'm not going to say one way or the other, do I support the deal or not. I think that's a fair conclusion
Sure.
for anybody to make.
I mean, I think given the circumstances, this is probably, it's not a great deal, but it's probably one of the best ones we could get in the circumstances, especially with how little support there was domestically. What this reads to me is they're going to be a problem again in 5 years. Once they're done rebuilding everything, they're going to have to be dealt with again.
Yes.
So really, whoever is the next president is going to have to deal with this problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, I can say, all right, we've at least pushed them back. Let's say it's maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years, maybe 4 years. Who do you guys think? Because Trump won't be president then.
Correct.
This will come back that we'll have to deal with. Who do you guys think could be a president that could handle something like this? Because this will come back.
Realistically, I think Vance would be pretty good on it, especially because he's currently in the administration. DeSantis, I think, could be good on it. Bit more of the far out choice out there. Tulsi Gabbard, I think, could be good on this. Matt, you want to go?
With those names, yeah, I would think I would have to probably go towards Vance, DeSantis, or Gabbard. I mean, yeah, they have the military background. Vance is obviously in administration, like you mentioned. Rubio possibly because he does talk to a lot of these countries leaders already as well, and he's kind of part of making these deals. But yeah, I think I would have to lean towards Vance or DeSantis.
Yeah, I think in terms of this, I would maybe have to. I would really like. I'm kind of leaning towards. I would like to see Vance for president in 4 years. I think this is going to be a definitely a tough situation. I know, some people have hesitancy towards Rubio with some of his more past and kind of like the neocon circles of the Republican Party. I think if they're, I guess it depends on how the problem arises again in half a decade. If they're looking for revenge, for things like that, we're probably going to need to have some people not that aren't afraid to get their hands a little dirty with potentially some foreign conflict. I could potentially see if there's a Vance Rubio ticket, you've got Vance that can do a very good job with negotiation with a lot of the top level stuff, but when you need some assistance with helping deal with rising tensions, rising conflicts, someone that might scare some of these countries a little bit might be a Rubio. So, but it's a tricky situation in Iran. I mean, it's what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on the deal that we have? Is it a good deal? Is it a bad deal? Is there a chance for a better deal? What do you guys think? Let us know. I guess real quick, before we start wrapping up the show, it has been nice to see JD back out in public view again. I honestly, he went on The View, he went on a couple other hostile interviews. I forgot how good he does in those situations.
Yes.
And it's very nice to see him out in public again. I really like how he can give responses to questions that not only answer them thoughtfully, but have the kind of insight and nuance to really make a lot of the different factions in the GOP, say, hey, okay, I get that. That makes sense. And yeah, he understands what I'm trying to say because, we're always talking, we're seeing, just how divided things can get on the right with the different, let's maybe call it the neocon faction, the MAGA faction, the more like America First Liberty faction, and they're all duking it out all the time. I think he's been doing a very good job at responding to things in a way that can make all those different factions happy. And I think that's a very good thing to see, especially coming up to, this November, where a lot of those divisions are really threatening to reduce GOP turnout at in a lot of important races. Like, for example, here in Ohio, governor race, Senate race, turnout is everything. And if people are feeling disenfranchised, it's not going to go well. So I'm very happy to see Vance out there again. I honestly missed it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy how well he does.
It is nice to see. I do miss Senate Vance. He was very vocal about his opinions, and he stood on his principles, and I agreed with his principles, and I'm glad we're getting that back.
Yeah. Well, folks, I think that's just going to about do it for this episode of the Whamcast. Let us know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like. We can take some criticism. It's okay. It's okay. We're learning here. But, feel free to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share this with your friends. We'd like to get this out there. if you're a YR chapter president, I hope some of our conversations helped you, or helped you feel like maybe some of your concerns might be getting voiced. And we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks, so stay tuned.